Elbert and I were just talking about our memories of 9/11. And I remember going to a school to supervise student teachers over in Forsyth County. And as any elementary school is, it's rather rambunctious, a lot of activity, a lot of movement as the day gets started. But I walked in and it was dead silent. And I thought, am I here on the wrong day? Is this a holiday? And I saw some people in the office and walked over to the office. No one said a word. No one greeted as they usually did. And I went to sign in and I said, what's going on? And the secretary came over. She says, you've been in the car, so you haven't seen this. They're bombing New York City. At first, I thought, is she joking? And then we had a television there that I could watch. And sure enough, I saw the buildings go down, and it was dead silence. You had nothing you could say. It was speechless. And I'd never been speechless in my life, but I was then. And I think of that every 9/11. It was ongoing while I was in the car. It had started. The plane had flown into the first building. And then when I went in, of course, I was there for the rest of the morning, glued to the television, as we all were. And we watched it one step after another, one plane after another, one catastrophe after another. And you wonder, where in the world is it coming from, and when is it going to end?
If you had to nail down maybe an overwhelming emotion that you were feeling at that time, what would you say
Shock.
it was? Shock.
Just
Yeah.
shock.
Yeah.
Disbelief.
Well, we were sitting there eating breakfast, actually, a late breakfast. And a friend called and said, you got your television on? I said, no. He said, turn it on, turn it on. And as we turned it on, they were, buildings were starting to come down. And we watched the second one go into but the questions we had, or I had at that time, was, okay, what's going on here? Is this going to be happening in other cities? Are we really under attack here, or what? I mean, no, we didn't know. You assumed it was basically a military invasion. That was my thought. So, but I'm concerned that a lot of people do not remember it. Even with the replays today, they don't understand the significance that it could very easily happen again. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yep.
And I'm afraid that's where we're at right now.
It was a day my son was in school, and I had been working, and I immediately called the school. I worked at the time for the Public Defender's Office in Palm Beach County, and I was very concerned about the children, and we didn't know if it was going to be all over the country, and immediately the school says, we want to leave them, that it's a normal day and we'll make sure everything's okay. And the rest of us just kind of drew together in very solemn sadness. It was a great sadness that it's a day I will never forget. And we finished our day with our clients, and we took the school's guidance and said, let it be a normal day, but we will never forget. And many of us had friends from New York who had passed during this time, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. Like my mother always said that she would never forget Pearl Harbor Day, and she was in the movie theater. Well, I was in the jail. But, it's a day I'll never forget. We've been talking about it today, and, God bless the people, and I hope America will come together for the best for the people.
Yeah, so I was at work. We have TVs in the cafeteria, and it was basically just surprise and surreal. You didn't think it was real because they showed the planes going into the buildings, and it just caught you so off guard. You didn't know what was going on. There was a lot of confusion. And then once they collapsed, it just hit home to where, I don't know, it was just empty, totally empty. It didn't seem real. You thought you were watching a movie, and once you saw them collapse, it still didn't seem real. It was, yeah.
If you had to nail down maybe one specific emotion that you felt that morning when you saw it for the first time, what would you say?
I guess confusion and surprise, mostly. And then I think it took the weeks after to actually build up, to actually reiterate how real it was. Because then you started seeing the stories, the news, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. Yeah, I mean, I visited Twin Towers all the time.
So you were in New Jersey at the time?
No, I wasn't in New Jersey, but I grew up in New Jersey, and we used to go to the Twin Towers, cut school in high school, and go see the Twin Towers, and I've got photos. And to see them actually go down was, it was just too surreal. And it actually took weeks after to actually process to realize that was real. Yeah. It was scary.
9/11, a long time ago. It was, I was working, I was in a machine shop working, and they said somebody done, hit the Twin Towers I think they're in New York. And so I had no, immediate emotion about it because I didn't understand what was happening. And then after the aftermath and after it was all over with, I just, they said it was terrorists, and then they said they were from another place, but as far as it's sad that a lot of people died without cause, and that was the sad part about it, that they it actually was murder that they did, but they'll pay for it in the end, basically because God don't miss a thing. Well, it's difficult for me to show an emotion after the fact, but I'm believing that if the country was more, stable in government, then these things possibly wouldn't happen because communication and different things like that. But as far as seeing the aftermath, I couldn't reflect an emotion because I wasn't involved in it. But the people who had families and those that died, the families of those that they left behind, those are the ones that really would feel the pain of lost, and I pray for them.
And the day 9/11, 22 years ago, I was a teacher in the classroom. I was actually a special reading teacher, and I was leaving the classroom, and I went by the office to check in and see what was going on, and everyone was crowded around the TV, and I saw it, and it just it broke my heart. I drove home that afternoon. My husband worked at Delta Airlines, and I drove home that afternoon. Well, they all came home early, but there were no planes in the sky, and we'd never seen that because we live close to Atlanta, and there's always planes in the sky. But it just broke my heart, and I'm still sad about it every day. It just, all those people, and just such a tremendous loss. I just pray for each of them, especially today, for extra comfort and love. Horror, fear, just sad, very sad, just overcome. It was a sad, sad day for our nation.